They're trying to move products, but the companies that sell within that grocery store are trying to get their items moved. The companies that they're selling the soda, the companies that are selling the chips, they are paying for that product placement. They are paying, believe it or not, to have those items, to have every single spot in that grocery store is valuable. The space is valuable.
I found a stack of records in my attic today, an Elvis picture disc and Kenny's big old hay. Put them up on eBay for the day was done. Watch the bids roll in till the morning sun.
Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. This is going to be a Thursday What Sold video. So we have some cool What Sold to show you. I was getting some screenshots ready, and I think we got six. We have six. So I was just clicking them off, and I was like, oh, well, I got another one. We'll do a bonus one today. Hopefully look at some sunglasses. However one of the video goes, we'll look at some sunglasses on eBay, see what they're going for, and I'll show you some cool ones, some ones that I've owned, and I want to show one pair that I really like and hope to. I don't know if I'll get them or not, but because I pretty much wear glasses now all the time, and we'll look at everyone's still talking about the change in attribution of advertising, or how advertising is attributed on eBay come January 13th, which I really don't think is a big deal, but a lot of people are running around with their head on fire about this thing. And we'll talk about predictions, making predictions, because it kind of goes hand in hand. But either way, salud. Enjoying a nice bourbon. I was watching. Actually, this is a bourbon, but this is the one I got from Whole Foods that doesn't quite taste like a bourbon. I mean, there's some subtle bourbon notes in there that pretty much all whiskey has, American whiskey that is. But like typically bourbon, you get that big punch of cherry right off the bat, and this one to me has a very high rye content. It could be that they followed all the appropriate rules, which is at least 51% corn in your mash bill, and then the rest other grains. There's other rules too associated with that, like how long you have to, age it for, brand new oak barrels. But I have a feeling this one has a very high rye content, maybe 30%, maybe higher than that, because that's what I'm getting. So when a whiskey is called a rye whiskey, that means it has. I'm trying to remember the rules off the top of my head. I think in order to be called a rye, it has to be at least, it's not 100% rye. Unless it states 100% rye. If it says rye whiskey, it doesn't have to have 100%. Rye. Let's just see this. Let's just do this. Whiskey rules. Okay. So it has to. So the mash bill must be made up of at least 51% rye. So in order to be called a rye, it has to have at least 51% rye, and that's what this is really tasting like to me. Is more of like a 51% rye type of whiskey, not 100% rye whiskey, but more of a 50% type of rye whiskey. But it could be really just for bourbon, as long as you have that 51% corn, it could be, the rest of it can be rye, but it's still good. I like rye whiskey, so it's still good. I still like it. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. Let's get that out of the way. But I was watching a episode of Chopped, and then they had this bottle which reminded me of my grandmother and my grandmother's brother, which they had a bottle of rompope, which is a you hear me really exaggerate the R there, rompope. It's like a creamy liqueur, vanilla-y, very sweet, Not my favorite at all, but it would go good maybe like in a coffee, to adult up your coffee a little bit. I like a good Irish coffee. There's a local restaurant that we like to go to, and they do a really good Irish. They have a really good breakfast and really good. It's always jam packed too. It's always packed. They have several locations in the area, and always jam packed. They have a great Irish whiskey. Over at Savers, I picked up this really cool swatch here. You see $6.99. Paid 20% less than that. And it's a really cool one. This one should go for pick up $30 to $40. So, as you can see here, it's got a nice, cool long band. So obviously you would wrap it around kind of like a bracelet. So really, really cool. Always want to pop the crown out, make sure all the hands are moving. And it's in great condition. It looks like in great condition. And so I think, just a battery, put a battery in it, and it should be fine. It should work. I have a big old stash of batteries, so it's good. If you're dealing in watches, it is really helpful to be able to put new batteries in them, be able to get them working. It'll help you sell them. And definitely get yourself a battery kit to be able to open some of these batteries. Some of them, are a little more difficult than others to open. Some of them just aren't. You just pop the thing off. Some of them are screws. Some of them are, you need a special tool to kind of twist the backs off of them. So there's all kinds of weird ways that they close the backs of batteries. And all kinds of weird battery sizes that they use. So it's good to get a good kit and then buy your batteries on Amazon. They're very, very cheap. I would not recommend taking them to a jeweler. They charge quite a bit to do battery swap outs. So it would not make it worth it. So learn to do it yourself. With, plenty of videos to show you how to do that on all kinds of different watches. So I was watching a video where someone was complaining that everyone's giving away the secrets of, thrifting, and, these thrift stores are now, selling their own items online. They're going on to Whatnot and all that. But, there's tons of stuff out there. There is so much stuff, and nobody can know everything, even these large companies. And I was watching a show where they were selling I was watching a Whatnot show of a, what was it? Was it Salvation Army or Goodwill? But they were selling a totally fake bag, a fake Louis bag. So I was like, that is so fake. So they assume a lot of risk as well too. So they're taking on a lot of risk, and when they're selling online, they still a lot of them still prefer to sell locally. They have these stores open. They can move a lot of product very fast. They're not necessarily into making the most with each item. They're more into moving a lot of product as fast as possible. Yes, they are going to hold some stuff. Yes, they are going to try to innovate, and they're going to try to, take on not take on. I don't think take on is the right word. They're going to try to, adapt to changing times and how people are shopping. And obviously, people have been shopping online for a while. Lots of Goodwills have their own websites already. They already have been selling on places like eBay. They've already been selling. Now they're just adapting or they're discovering these new platforms and working them into their business model to try to help get things sold as well too. But they're not always necessarily looking to make the most out of each item. Sometimes, you just got to move items, move them, and bring more items in, move more items, and just play a volume game. Nothing to be really worried about. Retail, brick and mortar will always be there. Online will now always be there. There'll be new and different options. There will never be a ratio where online shopping is going to beat out in-person retail shopping. It's never going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, and we're going to talk a little about predictions. I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't happening. There is a thing about going out and shopping in person. We saw it post pandemic. Everybody, everybody was, well, vast majority of people had to do a lot of online shopping because everything else was shut down. How else were we? I mean, there were some, grocery stores open and all that, but the vast majority had to shop online because there was no other way. Well, what happened once everything opened up? We saw everybody started rushing out. Everybody's got out of the house. Everybody's rushing back to retail, rushing back to get back out there. Everybody bet. I was watching an article or watching a video. They interviewed the new CEO of Nike, and he admitted that the previous leadership made a mistake by gambling with online shopping and going not all in, but putting a considerable amount of effort into direct-to-consumer online shopping, going through the apps or going through the websites. And they made a mistake, and they fell hard. Yes, they're still making great money. Yes, they're still a major company. They're not in any trouble or anything like that. But they allowed companies like Hoka, companies like Brooks, companies like On to move into those spaces that they previously dominated. And the reason why they dominated those is because of brick and mortar retail. Previous leadership gave up on those spots that they had. Nike had premium placement in all these, like Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods. What's that other one in the mall? There's a new one in the mall. Around here we have Shoe Palace, which is another big one on the West Coast. There's another one which I think is JP Sports or JV Sports, I forget. But Nike was in all these places, plastered all over the place, and they dominated. Well, they pulled back, and they pulled back considerably, and they gave up all that space to other competitors who are now also coming in and chewing away at Nike's profits is what they're doing. Hoka, I mean, we all know Hoka is a great brand as resellers. We all know Hoka is a great brand to resell. We all know On is a better known as On Cloud, but that's On Cloud is actually the specific model the company's on. We know that that's a great shoe to resell. We know people, it's a great shoe to wear as well too. We know Brooks are a great shoe. Asics, all these companies just came right into the space that Nike vacated, and look where we are now. They're great brands and brands that are innovating, and now they're trying to, gain more market share from these larger companies. Why? Because Nike gave up on brick and mortar retail. All those spots in the malls, all those spots in those large sporting goods stores, they gave up on it, and they fell hard. I mean, that's there. I mean, there's many other companies that did the same thing, but Nike, I think, is the biggest one of the biggest players, I should say, who gave up on all that space. So online shopping is there. Yes, it's great. It's never, 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 and you could take that to the bank, gonna beat in-person retail shopping. Never gonna happen. And with that in mind, now let's move on to the advertising segment, but really briefly, there's people out there in social media world who claim to have predicted that this was going to happen. Oh, I told you that this advertisement, or the attribution, it's, if anybody can click on eBay, to primarily focus on eBay, or this is only for eBay, they'll click on your promoted listing, your listing being promoted, they'll click on it, boom, your promoted listing is now active for 30 days. If somebody else comes in that did not click on it and buys it, you still get charged a promoted fee because somebody happened to click on it. And so this has already been in effect in a European company or a few European companies. It's already started in other parts of the world. And so because it had already they already put this in play, then people were already saying, well, I'm predicting it's going to come to the United States. Well, that's a pretty easy prediction to make. They didn't nail it down. They didn't say like it's going to come in 2026. They didn't say, they didn't give you a specific time frame. They said it's going to come sometime in the future to the United States. They're not, eBay's just testing this out. Of course, kind of obvious and a very easy prediction to make. And people that make these very vague, this was kind of not so vague because they already had a bit of information, and that's kind of the way they work. Is they'll have a little bit of truth, and then they'll make a huge or a very vast, not necessarily a leap, but they'll cast a very wide net, and they'll say, I like just like this. I see this new advertising or this new attribution that eBay is the new way to attribute promoted ads that they've currently implemented in this European country. I see them bringing it to the United States at some point. So they'll cast a very wide net. They won't ever give you an exact, it's coming on this day. So, and then other people have said, oh yes, a lot of these what do you call it? By these thrifting stores, they're going to get smart and they're going to start going online. Okay, well, a lot of them have already been online. Then they're like, well, they're going to go on other platforms. Like, what now? Well, when? They'll never tell you when because they don't know when. They're just making very vague, very wide. They're trying to cast a wide net. So that way they can never be wronged. They're never wrong. They're always right whenever they make these predictions because they're already vague. And it's something called the Barnum effect is what it's called. And from Barnum and Bailey. And it's about creating very vague, very generalized predictions and or statements and making them so vague and so generalized that you can apply them and anything you can, make a huge prediction. Just like, if you ever watch any of those or dive down the rabbit hole of the Bible code and how people have applied these programs to the Bible to figure out all these codes, you could make a program to pretty much predict everything from the Bible if you really wanted to. It's just the vagueness is just allows you to make predictions or allows you to not necessarily see into the future, but kind of like they've done some Bible, they've run some, Bible code programs, and they've come up with like the Bible predicting the different world wars predicted, and then making predictions further on into the future as well too. But it's like, okay, yes. And then, someone else built another one that was able to predict this, and you can almost make an argument for, you can make it say whatever you want. And so if you make it vague enough, if you make your prediction vague enough, you can pretty much write all the time. So it's kind of the way, people that do horoscopes and all that stuff and psychics work and fortune tellers, they always just try to stay in the world of vagueness, and whenever they're making predictions, they stay generalized, they stay vague, and really the goal is just to always be right. They'll never ever get very, very the opposite of vague. They'll never be. Let's see. What's the opposite of egg? Not egg. Uh, clear or precise. Yeah, I should have known that. Clear or precise. It's kind of late in the day. They'll never be clear. They'll never be precise with their predictions. They'll always keep them open ended. They'll keep them vague in order to always appear that they are in this case, and in the world of eBay reselling, they'll always appear as the guru that kind of knows everything. Because look, I predicted it was going to come. They'll never say I didn't know exactly when it was going to come, but they'll always say I knew it was coming, and here it is. Look, see, I told you. But either way, in the world of advertising now, there were whole businesses built around advertising. It's $1 billion business advertising, probably more than that. But so eBay's general promoted ads, you set a percentage and they'll take that percentage if it sells via promotion. And then there's a ratio, generally it's right around 50%. 50% promoted, 50% organic. So organic means someone just naturally found it without a promotion and they sold it. Generally, that's where it is, usually 50-50 right now. But my thought process is on it, and why I don't really, I'm not, running with my head on fire about this whole thing, is because, I put that percentage in there. I'm already committed to paying that. I'm the one that put it in there. I'm already saying that this is how much I'm willing to give up. And just because there's a ratio, just because it's always consistently 50-50, doesn't mean we should always be relying upon that. If you put that number in there, they could take 100% of your sales can be promoted sales. It could be. It's not. There's no set rule that says, okay, you put your percentage in there in the general promoted ad listing, in the general promoted ad campaign, and so now we're only going to do, just so you know, we're only going to do 50-50. That's not the rule. So if you're upset about promotions or what they're changing, then don't promote. But then you're going to be thinking, well, there's this whole pay-to-play scheme. Well, yes, that's kind of, and the advertising has been that way forever. Forever. eBay is not, eBay isn't doing anything different than a lot of other people that, charge for advertising. And the reason why I think a lot of people are up in arms about it and, mad about it is because nobody else has ever done retail. eBay's their first and probably their only, retail setting that they've ever been a part of. And so they're not really familiar with advertising in any other way or form. They've never had a store. They've never sold anywhere else online. I'll tell you what, I've had my own website and I've sold stuff on my own website. And I'll tell you, promoting is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Paying for Google ads, paying for Facebook ads, it's a lot. And really what eBay charges is really, really not that much compared to if you were to do it on your own. And I don't think many people realize that. I don't think people realize the real world. It's a very expensive to advertise. Now, I think I did mention this before in a previous video about when I first spoke about this. eBay, to me, from what it appears that they're doing, is moving to a grocery store method of advertising. I touched on the grocery store thing. And I always use the grocery store analogy because I think it's very, very similar. And so advertising, what people don't realize when you go to the grocery store, and many people don't realize this at all, it's psychological warfare in there. The moment you stare at the grocery store, what's outside the grocery store being sold, It's there on purpose. When you walk into a grocery store like this, if I walk into the grocery store right now, there's, I think there's like when did I go to the grocery store last? It was a few days ago. I walked into the grocery store, and right up front, as soon as I walked in, there were flowers, and I think it was since you walk into ours, there's, you walk into the produce section, but right in front of there's usually have a little setup of something. They have the flowers and everything in there, and they have I think they had soda there too as well. But there's a reasoning behind that. Now, I bet when I walk in there come Thursday or Friday, it's going to be loaded with, because it happens all the time. It happens every start to the weekend. It's going to be chips and it's going to be soda. And why is it going to be chips and soda? And they're going to have a big display. They're going to have a big old display there right as soon as I walk in of football. Because why? Right now, college football's on Saturday, and Sunday football is obviously the NFL. And those are big days when people are just going to be sitting in front of a TV. And what do you do when you sit in front of a TV? You snack. So they're going to have, or people, people have friends over, people throw parties, like, hey, come over, come watch the game. And so what are you going to put right in front of people's faces as soon as they walk in? Snacks and soda. So it's like I said, it's psychological warfare every time you walk into a grocery store, because everybody's trying to get those products sold. The grocery store is trying to get their products sold, right? They're trying to move products, but the companies that sell within that grocery store are trying to get their items moved. The companies that they're selling the soda, the companies that are selling the chips, they are paying for that product placement. They are paying, believe it or not, to have those items, to have every single spot in that grocery store is valuable. The space is valuable. And so companies are paying for that space that is right there in front. The chips, the soda, they're paying to have that right there. So that way, right when you walk in, that's premium placement. Think of it as eBay priority ads. They want every single impression that they could possibly get. And everybody that walks in that door is seeing those chips and soda. How many people walk out with chips and soda? Well, quite a few people walk out with chips and soda. Not everybody is going to walk out with chips and soda, and companies are well aware of this. The grocery store is aware of this. The PepsiCo, everybody who's putting stuff there, they all know that, they're going to put that right there, and out of maybe the, I don't even know how many people walk through. 10,000 people that walk through that door on a Friday, they might get, I don't know, maybe 400, maybe 300, 400, 500, maybe, people that actually pick up a product and buy it from that display. So, and then not only is it right there, as soon as you cross into the produce section, and the produce section, the produce section is there usually right in front, because those are the items they want people to take right off the bat. And why? Because those things are going to go bad. So they want people to get in there and get those items as quickly as possible. And they want to move turn those items over as quickly as possible, because they don't want them sitting around forever. They want to get those sold, because otherwise you're going to end up with rotten fruit or rotten vegetables. Then you walk into the other aisle. You walk into the cereal aisle. What's the first thing you see? Probably Frosted Flakes, Cheerios. There is a reason why you see those first, because those are sitting there at eye level. Those companies, the companies that make those products, they pay for that placement on the shelf. Believe it or not, that shelf that's, right here when you're walking in, right at your eye level, they're paying top dollar for that shelf right there, to have their items on that shelf. They want their items on that shelf, and they want them to move. It doesn't matter that everybody knows about Frosted Flakes, that everybody loves. Well, most people, I think, love Frosted Flakes. They're really, really good. Too much sugar, but really, really good. I haven't had Frosted Flakes in ages, but they're so good. They do get soggy really, really quick, though. As a matter of fact, Amway, believe it or not, when Amway was going through our church. A lot of these companies went through churches. It's a great customer base for a lot of these pyramid scheme companies is to, at a church. The Amway version of Frosted Flakes, those ones held up to milk. I remember that as a kid. They really, really held up to the milk. And I liked that. I appreciated that as a kid. But everything you see right here in that shelf right here where your head is, obviously, some people are taller, some people are shorter, but most people, they know the average height of every person in America. And that's where they're putting items right here. And that's where the company's going to pay top dollar to have their items sit on that shelf. No matter what their name is, it doesn't matter what their name is. They could be, the hottest name around. They still want to put things in front of people's eyes because they know it takes, eBay terms now, they know it takes so many impressions in order to get a sale, even if you have a well-known brand or product. How many people look at the bottom shelf? How many people look all in in the whiskey or the alcohol level? You look at that bottom shelf because that's where the plastic bottles sit. You're like, that's the stuff you just gonna, you want to forget life with. That bottom shelf. And if you ever talk, and I have talked to people who have developed products, who are trying to get products into grocery stores. It is incredibly tough to get into a grocery store. And then to even get your item, just to try them off the floor, they'll let you in. They're like, okay, we'll let you in after you get your foot in. Then they'll be like, all right, we'll put you on the bottom shelf, though. You're not going to get top placement unless you cough up quite a bit of money. And not the people just starting out trying to, get their product off the ground. They're not going to have that much money to spend on shelf space on trying to get your thing up the shelf, So you're not going to bump General Mills off where they sit on a shelf. You're not going to be able to compete with that kind of money. So advertising is very, very complex. Believe me, it costs a lot of money, lots of money. And a lot of that money is upfront money. It's not, when you sell an item, you pay upfront. You pay before you even sell an item. You pay for advertising. So no reason really to get mad about. And if you are mad about it, then, I wouldn't say not advertise. I mean, it's up to you. It's a choice that you'll need to make. Some items definitely don't need advertising. There are items where you do not need to advertise. Depending on what your niche is. I sold that camera. That camera didn't need that. It sold quickly. As a matter of fact, it sold to a return customer. I have a customer over in New York. I forget what city, but every time I have a digital camera, compact digital camera like a Nikon, a Canon, a good brand, not cheap brand. Every time I have one, it sells immediately, well, almost immediately. Every time I have the Microsoft natural keyboards, those ones sell always to Nevada, Las Vegas. There's a person in Las Vegas that buys them if they're in good shape. I've sold some in the best shape, and then they won't buy them. But if they're in decent shape, they buy them automatically. So there are some things where you don't need to advertise, and social media is an advertising platform as well, too. So if you have a following on social media, you can advertise on there. And you can turn off advertising on eBay. Some people can do that, Again, it takes so many people, though. Not if you have 500,000 subscribers, not all 500,000 are going to be buying from you. There's going to be a small fraction that may be buying. So that is still another form of advertising. And I think as AI gets better, and eBay realizes this, and they are very well aware of the fact that as AI, artificial intelligence, it's integrated everywhere nowadays, so can't avoid it. As buyers, how do I want to start this? As I guess buyer AI is learning. AI is learning buyers' patterns. Okay, it's been a thing for a long time already. It's nothing new. Okay, OpenAI. No, yes, OpenAI is a fairly young company, but as far as the technology, it's been around for a while, and it's already been learning buyers' habits. I mean, we all know this, right? We all of a sudden, we're searching up something on Google or wherever you search on, and then you start getting ads from whatever you search with, and you're like, how am I getting ads on this already? Because it's learning your patterns, learning your behavior, and it's getting a lot better at learning. And pretty soon, AI is going to be so good at matching a buyer. AI within advertising is going to be so good at matching a buyer to a seller or what the seller is selling that advertising really isn't going to be. Advertising is going to change. And eBay is definitely well aware of this fact. So what they're doing is selling shelf space on the platform. They're selling the placement of where your items are. So is it something to be mad about? No, it's the game, really, is what it is. The parameters are being reset, and we just need to, navigate it. And if you like the ratio at which your sales of organic to promoted are at right now, then you'll probably need to adjust what you're promoting. If certain categories like clothing and saturating categories, you probably can't avoid it. Everybody's going to be promoting. Look at priority ads. Priority ads are going to be getting. They should. I mean, I think they should already be getting, or I don't know how it's going to change. I mean, I think they were already getting top placement already, but I don't know for sure. But I'll tell you what, I've been very successful with priority ads, and I'm very happy with priority ads. Just be careful. Don't spend too much on priority ads because they can get out of hand very, very fast. Offsite ads, I'm not really sure how. I mean, okay, we're definitely making sales with offsite ads, and I use all three. Believe it or not. And I've been very surprised with priority ads, especially since when they changed it 2 months ago, I forgot, or so. It's already been a few months already. But I've been very, very happy with the changes they made to priority ads. We've been making sales with that, so it's been justifying the cost associated with that, along with offsite ads. They've been doing a lot better as of late. And again, I'm selling items on offsite ads, and therefore it's justifying the cost with that. How long have I been talking for? 6 minutes. Oh man. I don't want this video to be too long, but okay, let's quickly. I'm not going to do much of a deep dive. I'm just going to show you a couple of cool. Let's pull this up right now really quick. My face is like too. Hold on. Okay, that should be better right there. Now you can see me. Let me just show y'all some really cool sunglasses to be hunting for. Some really high-end ones. So here's a couple of pairs that I owned back in the day. Were the Oakley Romeos. These were so cool when they came out. I remember these came out. Seeing Tom Cruise wear these sunglasses in Mission Impossible 2, they were amazing. And of course, I had to have them. Let's go ahead and change this up a bit. And like I always do here is, I don't even know where I'm at. Oh, here we go. Okay, I want to change that to US only. Oh, let me expand this out. Why is it so tiny? Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter why that screen is tiny. So we're going to US only. And let's go ahead and just jump over to sold so we just see exactly what's sold. And as we can see, I had these, believe it or not, take my word for it, Trust me. I had these exact sunglasses. These were so cool with the fire lenses. Oh, no. Take it back. I didn't have the gold ones. I had the fire lenses. But I have this color frame right here. These were so cool. And surprisingly, very, very comfortable to wear. If you ever see these out there, there's the Oakley symbol that you need to be able to look out for. X metal. But really cool stuff. Very, very iconic. Let me see if they have let's go back over here. I think this is the one. Okay. Let's go Romeo. I'm pretty sure they're called the fire. Let me go back up here. Fire lenses. Yes, these are the ones right here. Oh my God. Recent sale of $1,500. Are you serious right now? Oh my Lord. I actually gave these to a friend of mine. I mean, back in the day, they weren't, they were still worth a few $100s. They weren't worth $1,500. Oh my Lord. These were such cool. I mean, I felt cool when I wore them. Such cool sunglasses. Yes, very, very nice. Again, when I saw these in Mission Impossible 2, I had to have these. So if you see the Oakley X Metal, they're called the Romeos, make sure to be buying these. Even let's just take the fire out of there. So we have those ones with the gold lenses. $91. That is strange. Why did it go for only $91? This was a repair? Are they... What is this? Are they selling repair work? Or are they selling repaired ones? This is Oakley, Juliet, Penny, Repair, Tune Up. They're selling... This is weird. Complete disassembly of the nose bridge, removal of one. They're selling a service? Okay. I mean, I guess I've seen everything now. I've never seen a service being sold. That is strange. But as you can see, they would have I don't think these are official Oakley. They would go for quite a bit, but the replacements, yeah, these are some serious sunglasses to be on the lookout for. Going for close to $1,000. These right here, look, really cool. Display stand. Wait, those aren't the. Oh, it's X Metal Romeo 1 display stand. Display stand not included? Man, that'd have been tricky. Do they not have lenses in them? I don't know what happened here. Stylish high quality, feature a sleek metal frame. Toughest environment. I wonder why they went for so low. That's kind of wild right there. But really, really cool sunglasses. And this is the Juliets. The Juliets were just essentially a smaller variant of the Romeos. The Juliet. We'll just click on the X Metal one. Oops. Juliet. Yes, they were essentially just a smaller variant of the Romeos. And going for a significantly less. So we have a pair here. Sometimes you have to get through all this fluff of other stuff that really isn't what we're looking for. And those are probably those are right. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, those are the Juliets. These were really nice. I mean, these were also really cool. I bought all this. I mean, they still, back in the day, they were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Romeos were $250, and the Juliets, I think they were right around $200 or so, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, really, really cool sunglasses. The other ones that I really liked were the magnesium. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right. I'm going to spell it right. Come on, autocorrect. I can spell magnesium. Let me do this. Magnesium. There we go. Are the magnesium? They're magnesium frames, is what they are. Super lightweight. These were super lightweight frames. But I have the M lenses, which this is the M. This style right here with the shield style. And so, but they made other frames for the magnesium, but these were really, really cool, super lightweight, real nice sunglasses. But definitely keep your eye out for these right there. Obviously, with any lenses, they'd be great. The fire lenses were always a premium. Even back in the day, the fire lenses were still a premium. These will fill metallic. They are metal. So they will feel metallic, but they won't feel. The X metal ones were definitely heavy. They definitely had a weight to them. These ones, they were like feathers. They were super light. You didn't even know you had them on. It was like, wow, they were so cool. So really, really cool sunglasses here. So definitely keep your eye out, for these few styles that I'm showing you. And Oakley's do incredibly well. Just check, if you buy them accordingly, make sure you're not paying too much, especially for newer ones. For these older vintage ones like Y2K 90s ones, you can definitely pay 20, 30, 40, even up to $50. And you still get close to $150 for these older styles that were from this era, from this 90s, early 2000s era. Let me show you. Let me see if I remember these. These are the Ray-Bans. Ray-Ban, what are they called? Pro Max. Right here. Was that them? No, that wasn't them. Yes. Yeah, they were these ones. Let me try sports. Hold on. It wasn't those ones exactly. Very similar to this right here. I think this is this is them right here. They had a nice, really cool light purple. It wasn't, you can see your eyes through them, but really cool light purple for lens. But what was so cool about these is, let's see if I can get a good right here. It's kind of, can I zoom in on this? Maybe not. All right, here we go. If you look at the actual ear hook, it had a secondary ear hook that you would unlatch. So it would have a little, just a little clip on the back of the ear hook, and you can just flip it, and then it would wrap completely around your ear, almost completely around your ear, just for maximum security when you were, playing sports or anything like that. Really cool sunglasses. Just, Ray-Ban, if you like Ray-Bans, Oakleys, they do really well. Maui Jims do really well. Ray-Bans, pretty easy to spot because they say Ray-Ban on the lenses. Oakleys, again, look out for that O. The metal ones, any of the metal ones. If you see any of the Y2K metal ones, another one that was really, really cool was the, I don't know what they go for nowadays, but Killer Loop sunglasses. Let's see what they're going for nowadays. The classic 90s ovals. As you can see, Killer Loop's still doing really well. I think this is more like the classic look right here. Yeah, this is like from the 90s. I remember back in high school. The Killer Loops, definitely another one to keep your eye out for. And the other one was, or ones I used in baseball. Oh, where are they? Right here. These ones right here. And really cool. Again, look at going for $200 something dollars. As you can see, $200. These were these right here. These gargoyles right here were the Terminator. The ones from the Terminator movie, the original first Terminator. So definitely ones to be on the lookout for. A very unique, style to see. Let's just blow that up really quick. Yeah, check this. You can see the logo right there. It's kind of like a gargoyle. So really cool. If you find those, let's see gargoyles. Easy to spot. Just a very, very super unique style. But these ones right here were the ones I was looking for. Were these gargoyles made famous by you saw there, King Griffey Jr. But just really cool. They actually were flipped up or flipped down frames, so that's how you wore them. So under your hat, you would have just the frame under there, and then when you needed, for pop flies or depending on the direction of the sun, you would flip them down when you needed that additional protection to see them all. So really, really cool. Definitely some really cool sunglasses to be on the lookout for. Very, very high end, as you can see. So, okay, let's go over the what's old. Okay, we're going to start this off with it's a long video. It's like a lot of talking. White noise machines. Sell these all the time. I'm actually sold out right now. I saw one at the Goodwill today, but it was just too much. They wanted $8. And what they go for is right around they go for right around $15-ish or so. This one here, between 50 to 20. This one sold 1981 when it went in a 975 box, and $8 what they paid in shipping. Definitely ones to keep your eye out for are this brand specifically. I've had success selling other brands, but this one is the most consistent and the one that gets the most views. So definitely keep your eye out for them. They are out there. They can be dusty on the inside. So if you need a air blower, get one. It'll help, clear it out. Kind of difficult though, because the slots are, oops, I'm not seeing my mouse, are you? These slots are relatively small. And unless you want to take it apart to really clean it out, it's going to be kind of difficult. So just trying to do the best you can. And just make sure it's not hairy, because I've come across these where they were hairy. And that could cause a problem, especially with allergies. Yeah, there might be dander in there. It's not the hair that causes the allergies, it's the dander. So there could be dander associated with that hair. So something to be aware of when you're purchasing these, but they do really, really well. And like I said, they sell between the $15 to $20 range. I'm all sold out at the moment, so I do hope to get some more in the future. Where are we at? Okay. Now I've had a lot of international sales, and I think I've said, international sales have really, really been picking up as of late this year. So I know there's a thing about turning off your international sales to try to get more sales, but I've been getting some great international sales. And this is one of them right here. So this sold for $38.69. $13.22 what they paid in shipping. And this went in, this actually came with a box. So I put it in a large padded poly bag. But this is a mini computer is what it is. It is bare bones. Do you see bare bones that much anymore? You used to be able to purchase bare bone computers, and what it means is basically the whole unit, and you would put in the rest of your components, like your memory, your hard drive, sometimes your CPU. This one had a CPU. It's an Intel Atom. These Intel Atoms tend to do pretty good if they're already come with a board and everything. Essentially, it's already soldered on. There's nothing you can do. You can't swap this out at all. It's already soldered onto it. But I've sold these Intel Atom processors soldered onto motherboards already. I've sold some of these for some really good money, and generally you don't pay too much for them. This was just a really cool little mini computer. They needed to add a memory and a hard drive to this one. It had everything else otherwise, but this sold internationally, so no takebacks is what that means. So really, really cool. Obviously, this is a little bit more. You got to have a little bit more expertise when dealing with these items. It's not. It wasn't very obvious that it was a bare bones. It didn't say bare bones systems on it, but it did say on the box officially that you would need to add these additional components to it. So was I able to test it? Yes, I actually was able to test it. I was able to power it on, and I did have some memory to be able to test it with. So again, a little bit more specialized, but the reality is you really, with a bare bone system like this, you really don't really have to test it. Unless it's like all junky in there, or you look like it's somebody's been in there and, there's problems, but it was all wrapped up in the box. Essentially an open box item is what it looked like to me, but make sure to pay accordingly. Don't pay too much for electronics. You just never know. Even with me, I'm not going to pay too much for something like this because I don't essentially really know if it's going to work once I get it back home. And this is something you can't test out in the field. So really, really cool sale, and it's international, so even cooler. Okay, this one here, it's broken, as you can see here, and I wish it wasn't broken. It's a really cool piece. Thomas Blackshear, definitely a brand to keep your eye out for, especially in ornaments. This one sold for, and it would have sold for more had it not been broken, $25.75, $9.06 is what they paid in shipping. Not broken, more like $60 to $70. So, but it still sold. We still made some good money on it, and even though it was broken, it still sold. Still a very well-made piece. Could definitely easily be repaired. It's Christmas time, so get your ornaments up now. They should already be up. You should even be. You should hear this and be like, "Oh man, I already have my ornaments up." Yes, get everything Christmas up now. Really cool piece. Definitely keep your eye out for Thomas Blackshear. To where we going? We're going that way. Okay, this was just a gold-plated ring, but it had a very large cubic zirconium or CZ on it. Jewelry is incredibly tough, especially just gold-plated items. Unless it's sterling, even sterling silver is tough. Gold, fairly easy if it's gold, real gold. But gold-plated. The fact that this was a very large solitaire is what really got it sold, and it sold for $21.54. That ornament went in a $9.75 box. This one here went in a small padded poly bag, $6.37 what they paid in shipping. It was just a really nice, statement ring. Nothing, $20. I think it was on the high end, and it was on the high end because it's a very large statement piece. That's the reason why it got sold. The CZ, the actual ring, not really worth too much, and not really too much value. It's pretty much the look of the ring that's getting it sold. Got it sold. Okay. Russian nesting dolls. They sell incredibly well. I sell them all the time. They sell all the time. And they sold for, this one sold for $20. I think it was $20 even. Let me, here's my, there we go. Yeah, $20 even. They sent me an offer. The shipping was $5.71 on the shipping. And this went in a 6x6x6 box. So really, really cool. Keep your eye out for these things. They do incredibly well if they have all the pieces in there. I've sold some with like 3 of them. I don't really pick them up if there's only 1 or 2. But if there's 3 of them in there and it's a good deal, I'll usually pick it up. Generally, for the most part, you want them all in there, all the way down to this little tiny guy. So really cool. They do incredibly well. Make sure they're not damaged. Sometimes there could be breakage like around the sides here where it could be a tight fit. And so there could be cracking there along the wood, especially from, depending on where it's from. place with very low humidity. They can start to crack. So really, really cool. They do incredibly well. Don't pay too much for them. They'll generally, for the most part, be between the $20 and $30 range for a full set. So keep your eye out. And we have a photo album. So definitely keep your eye out for photo albums. You know, journals, these, you know, old school stationery things. People still look out for these. People still buy them. People still use them. You know, you might be thinking, who's printing out photos? I know people are still printing out photos and keep them. So keep your eye out for them. They do incredibly well. They still sell all this old school stuff, old school tech or whatever. All this stuff still sells very, very well. And this was a really cool, you know, you can't pick up, if this is the plain, maybe if it was gold, it'd be kind of cool. But if this is like a plain black, you know, photo album, that's not very exciting. You know, you want something cool, unique, interesting, something like this really cool gold floral print. You know, the fact that it's C.R. Gibson, doesn't really mean anything. Not the brand that got it sold. Yeah, it's a pretty big brand, you know, old school vintage brand, but this really cool design. I mean, I have multiple pictures of this as well, too, on the inside, but the really cool design is what got this piece sold. What did it sell for? It was 21? 21? $25.30, $25.30, $11.71 what they paid in shipping, and this went in a large padded poly bag. This did have its original box with it, and that's the thing too. It's got to be at least not necessarily have the original box, but they got to be new. They can't be used. You know, if they're used, it's got to be really cool if it's used. So, and a lot of these things are brand new, just sitting around out there. I find all these things all the time, just like the little sewing kits, stitching kits, and all that. I find them brand new all the time. So they're out there. Just got to pay the appropriate price, and yeah, get them listed. Get them sold. Look at the keywords. You know, they do incredibly well. 3-ring, you know, 3-ring styles do really well. Although I've sold ones that are not 3-ring style that do really well. So a lot of this is the pattern here. Keep an eye on the pattern. So really cool. Hopefully all this stuff helps. Was that 6 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm 6. Okay, cool. I've done way too much talking, so I'm out of whiskey. A little bit. I don't waste any drip. But I'm gonna get some water and go relax for the evening, and how do you get caught up on The Witcher? I don't know. Have you been watching The Witcher? Do you like The Witcher? I can't get into the new Witcher. I think the problem is it's what's his name? It's Thor's brother. Who plays Thor? That's it. Oh, I can't even think of the name of the Thor guy. I just know him as Thor. Just call him the Thor guy. But Thor's brother replaced Henry Cavill, and I just can't get into Thor's brother. He just doesn't. He's like, I don't know. There's something about him. I just don't like. I wish Henry Cavill had stayed on. I wish they would have kept Henry Cavill. He played a really good Witcher character. But nonetheless, it's still The Witcher, so I'm still going to watch it. I still think it's cool. Otherwise, Predator's coming out this weekend. So go watch Predator. It's really, really cool. I hope it's going to be cool. I hope it's cool. Predator is really, really cool. I hope the movie's going to be cool. No matter what, good or bad, I'm still going to watch it. No matter what the reviewers say. All right, that's the end of the video. See you in the next one.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.